Na-na-na-na-na. What is up, everyone? Scott Brandt, the host of the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. And just to start the show, man, start of the year, we got a pivot already taking place. With the show, I live stream to Facebook, the Two Native Sons YouTube channel, and then the Twitch channel for Two Native Sons. Was talking to Miriam, and man, she's amazing. Grateful for what took place and whatnot, but was talking to her yesterday, asking if she was ready to record today or looking at next week. And she just let me know. She's like, I just don't feel as if I can put my all into it. And she was thinking that it would be once a month that she'd be able to record. So she was asking my thoughts, and I told her, I was like, you know what, it's all good. I understand where you're at. I understand the conundrum that's taking place, and it's okay. Each of us go through a certain part of our journey, and so I told her, I was like, you know what, I was grateful for her being part of this journey, really starting the point of what we're doing and whatnot. And just told her, I was like, I was grateful for our friendship going forward. So I told her whenever she wants to come on and be part of the show. She has had that presence with what has come out of the podcast and whatnot. So I told her, I was like, yep, whenever you want to come on, just let me know. But I completely understand. So it will be myself and looking at lining up different guests to come on. And I find it unique too because with Jasper Axelrad, who is the sponsor for the podcast with Tabala's Food for Thought, she had brought up the fact with what I do, really kind of pivoting, and that's where I look at it now. It's the relationship piece, and it's just not the divorce piece. It's more of the relationship umbrella in general. And I tell people ultimately, when it comes to the relationship piece that we are focusing on, the biggest relationship we have to work on is the relationship with ourselves. Our relationship that we have with ourselves is the biggest driving factor for what will take place within any other segment, any other part of our life. So that's going to be, apologize there, that will be the biggest driving force for you, is the relationship that you have with yourself. So you got to look at it. But with the Tabala's Food for Thought, Jasper had the idea of creating a group. It's collaborative creations, and I will put in the link in the show notes the website and the Facebook group. And so it is an avenue for myself with Two Native Sons with Patrick and different podcasters, different streamers, different content creators within Colorado Springs, being able to come together and showcase the businesses, the small businesses in Colorado Springs, and allow people to come on and share their stories. Because ultimately, the biggest thing that we have to understand is each of us have a message, and people don't truly understand the bigger picture until they can hear your story. Your story is key to who you are as an individual. That story is really a strong selling point to allow people to get to know who you are, build that relationship, and really, if they have that strong connection, maybe they hear your story once and then they're able to come and interact with you on a personal level. And they're like, man, I feel like I've known you my whole entire life. So it's that ability to create that connection piece. Our stories are very powerful. And so with the story is our message that we have to share. It's our gift to share with others. So the story piece is the aspect that it could be the struggle that you have. And so that's part of your story. That's your story that is meant to be shared with other people. It's your gift to share with others. You can't judge. You've got to take the spotlight off of yourself and focus on other people. Because if you judge yourself and you're like, oh man, nobody's going to want to hear my story, why would my story want to be heard? You're missing the point. you're putting the spotlight back on yourself instead of your audience. You can't judge for yourself for other people. Judging is already going around. We as individuals are our biggest judge, our biggest critic. So why do you want to enhance that? No, get out of your way, punch the ego in the face, tell the ego to sit down and show up and share that message. And don't be scared, because who needs to hear it is going to hear it. Who doesn't need to hear it, it's just going to roll off their back. It's going to be the avenue that at that time it may not have been the right time for it to hear it. Maybe they're not meant to be part of your journey. Maybe they're not meant part of that piece to help you go and do what you need to. And so it's just something to think about. But yeah, so with Jasper and Tabalas, going with that Tabalas food for thought, the creative collaboration. Like I said, I'll share that in the show notes. And I know Jasper right now has a comment here. So perspectives create a mutual reality. The more perspectives, the greater reality. That, oh man, that's true. Like we had a talk earlier today. I met with Jasper, sat down and talked to her and whatnot. And this was one of the things that I had shared was each of us have our own lens. And so that's how we see the world. And that's your reality that you're creating because of what you're seeing and whatnot. So we have to get to the point where we can sit and listen and hear the perspectives of other people. We've got to create that space that people can open up and allow us to see how they're viewing life, how they're seeing the world because of the lens that they have going on. And it's one of those beautiful things that if we can just step back and understand, hey, each of us are looking at life through a different lens. Let me see if I can see what they're looking at and how they're seeing the world. Because the thing is, maybe they have something that you haven't thought about before. Maybe they bring up a perspective that really could be that tipping point for you. That could be that catalyst for you that if you take the time and have an open mind and listen, it could be there for you. But the flip side to it too, though, is when they bring that up, maybe that's not meant for you. Maybe that perspective isn't aligning with you, which is cool, because now you can take and look and say, okay, is this going to benefit me? Can I look and see this perspective and see something that I haven't thought before? And is it going to benefit me? Is it going to help me out? Or that perspective's not really for me. It's not going to benefit me. So don't try to take on that perspective if it doesn't benefit you. Because that's the thing with the growth piece, the education piece. It's the aspect of learning from other people, looking at the experiences that they've had and being open-minded to grow from that. That's part of the education piece. And so if Jasper's watching this, so anybody that's listening to this as an audio portion, like I said, I'll put the links for the website and for the Facebook group for the creative collaboration. But Jasper, if you're watching this and if you want to drop that in the comment sections for individuals that are watching the video, that would be huge. If not, like I said, I'll go back and I'll have to do some editing, which is okay. So, but if you're watching this and you want to drop those in, would greatly appreciate that. That way it's easy access for people and whatnot. But again, if you have anything, I'll have those in the show notes too. So anybody that's listening to the audio, take a look and whatnot. And the thing that really has been spinning this last week, really I've shared it, is this may come as a unique idea and something that you really don't consider. So let me see here. Jasper has many lenses equal multi-chromatic, more depth, more integrals. And that, yeah, that's very true. It's the beauty of us as humans having the unique perspective that we can take in regards to growing. And so with the pivot that I've talked a little bit about, it's still the piece for me is that journey beyond divorce. And so I'll have people come on that have gone through divorce before, and they can share their perspective and what they've done to get to where they're at and whatnot. But with the pivot for me, going from focusing on divorced gentlemen with my coaching practice to both men and women, to Jasper bringing up the fact, not only Jasper, but Garrett Goggins and a business coach that I was talking to, the aspect of really the relationship piece. And that is such a wide thing. And it goes into the piece that the biggest relationship that we have to work on is the relationship with ourselves. And so the thing that I have to laugh at, because I'm looking at this, and when I bring this up, it may come off that you're like, man, that is crazy. Why would I do that? But why wouldn't you do this? And so when you're around a mirror, you find a mirror in the bathroom, wherever it's at, and you're looking at that person in the mirror, and that reflection is staring you back in the face, and it's your reflection. Do you take the time and tell that reflection that you see and say, I love you, and dot dot dot. So I love you for whatever that may be. Because think about it, you are with yourself 100% of the time. And so this starts the process of speaking to yourself, of changing your thoughts, of really taking the approach of loving yourself for who you are and helping to readjust those negative connotations that you may have, those negative stories, the negative ideas, the negative voices that may be coming up and trying to sabotage you and hold you back. So, like I said, you're with yourself 100% of the time. So, why would you not speak to yourself and look at yourself and say, I love you? I love you for the just the beauty that you have. I love you for your uniqueness. I love you for just the work ethic that you bring. I love you for the ideas that you create. I love you because you're so creative. And you're like, man, that could be one of those things that uh, I'm gonna sound kind of conceited, but you've got to look at it honestly, because who has your back 100% of the time? Yourself. You're with yourself 100% of the time. So why would you not speak to yourself in a different way? And it can be a tough thing, because this is a muscle that over time you have flexed. This is a muscle that over time you have worked on. And so it's the piece of how you speak to yourself. Because the other thing that really comes into point here is the two very powerful words is I am. And then whatever follows that, man, that can be a huge thing. So think about it. How often do you speak to yourself and you're like, I am so stupid? Well, you are speaking to your conscious. That's going to press down on your subconscious, and it is going to look and find answers for what you're speaking to yourself. So if you're saying I am stupid, you're gonna find things that are gonna show up and really be there for you. Yeah, but if you're like, man, I'm super smart, I'm wealthy, I'm healthy, I'm a person that people really love. One that I really speak on is I'm the leader that other leaders are looking for. And you'll be like, man, Scott is coming off crazy talking that way about himself. But you know what? I've got to have myself. I've got to have my back 100% of the time. And why not speak to yourself that way? Why not have that confidence and really start speaking out and having things that are attracted and coming and finding you based on what you're telling yourself? What makes it so crazy? Why is this a crazy perspective of, let me tell myself I love myself? Why is that a crazy perspective? Why do people have such a hard time on really being present and being mindful about how they speak to themselves? Why are we so quick on saying I'm stupid or I'm a failure instead of, man, I'm learning. I am getting opportunities to grow and learn and progress. I am the creator of opportunities to build these relationships. I am the person that people want to hang around with. I am the individual that creates a lot of energy and makes people really do a double take and starts looking at themselves and asking questions that can start driving that way. What makes that crazy? Why is it so crazy to tell yourself I love you? It may be the aspect of just the piece of what society tells us, what our friends tell us. The whole stupid. There we go. No, like the whole aspect of the crabs in the bucket piece. Or maybe you're trying to grow out of this rut. Maybe you're trying to climb out of this hole that you're in, and now you got friends around you that are feeding into whatever it is. And so as you're trying to climb out of that bucket, as you're trying to climb out of the hole, they're pulling you back. And then all of a sudden you end up giving up on yourself. You stop going after your dreams and your passions, and you stop doing what is yourself, and you stop showing up as your true solid self, and you start showing up as your pseudo self because you've been pulled down so many times. You're Jasper here. That's difficult with the laughing emoji. So that anybody that's listening to this audio probably already understands that I live stream the podcast just to allow me to reach out and reach a different audience and whatnot. But yeah, so Jasper's like, that's difficult, laughing face. And so this was something that we had this talk tonight. So it's right now, Jasper, you've got your journey. And so you've got individuals that are there with you. And I'm one of those individuals that is there to be the cheerleader for you, but understand that this is your journey. You have to be the hero of your own journey. This is your hero's journey, and we as individuals could potentially go through several different hero's journey, and we just never know what comes out of it. But when you're going down this hero's journey, what dragon, what demons, what difficulty, what mountain are you going to be able to climb? What dragon are you going to be able to go slay, and then come back? And so ultimately for myself, it's being that person that's there for you, and just being that sounding board. But it comes out that you've got to go on this journey. You got to become your own hero. And so for me, it's just I truly enjoy it. And so I also have to give you a shout out for the words, the great words. I'm humbled by what you shared in regards to the page that you helped me create, the Humans Dimensions Catalyst page. And so that's something also that I'll share in the show notes. Created another Facebook group page for my coaching practice. And so Jasper had shared some very encouraging words, and just love to hear her perspective and really see what has taken place. And I'm grateful to be part of her life and be part of her journey. But it's one of those things that it's an intangible thing. Really, when you're interacting with people, it's intangible because you can't hold it, you can't see inside of those people and see the change that's taken place. You don't know until they share a story, until they share words and they share what you've done for them. And so I just thank you for that, and I'm humbled by it. But it's also the fact that part of being part of your journey, it's allowed me to also grow and progress and just work on myself too. And so I thank you for that. It's all true. You should read it aloud. Thank you. So I can do that. Let me go ahead and bring up my other phone. So we gotta love it. This is a phone that I don't utilize when I transferred over to my other phone, but I'll pull that up and share that. And then I also have a couple different things that really has stuck out. John Kim, who I would consider a mentor of mine, he's the one that created the Journey Intensive, which I'm part of. So I'll share a couple ideas that he had shared, and then I'll pull up something else too, because this was the other thing that Jasper and I had talked about. So she's helping me being single and whatnot. We've talked looking to date, but it's not like my something that I'm chasing. I'm being myself. And so it was funny some of the stuff that she was sharing me with a dating group that she ended up getting invited to and whatnot. But she does have her boyfriend that she is seeing and whatnot. But just to have that another outlet, because there's people that she can reach out to and impact and whatnot. And as I'm reaching here looking, so this is what Jasper had shared. There we go. Sky has helped transform and reframe so many of my anxieties. I've struggled with public speaking, self-worth, self-image, and so many other things. He has helped me in so many of these areas as such a grounded energy, willingness, and openness to actively listen and meet me where I'm at to help elevate me to the next energetic step. Whether I was in a moment of heartbreak, joy, or panic, he shows up consistently and intuitively He has honed the ability to hold such an open and meaningful space for his clients. It has absolutely helped save me from spiraling on so many accounts and helped me grow into a better version of myself. 100% worth every conversation, moment of silence, financial investment, and energetic investment. Thank you so much, Scott. Again, thank you, Jasper, for the kind words. It's humbling because when I look at this, and I brought it up, when you interact with people, it's a very intangible thing. You don't know. You never know because it's not anything you can hold. You can't see the inside of what's going on with the person's thought process, what's going on in their spirit and their soul. So you never know. So until it is brought to light, it's shared in words. It's an intangible thing. And so really an intangible thing cannot be experienced until it is something that is heard, shared, and it's one of those things that I can't say enough. But thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. Thank you for being part of my journey and just allowing me to progress and grow as an individual, but also just be there for you. So I brought this up before. If you guys are looking in regards with needing somebody to talk to, looking to go from baseline in whatever area to thriving, reach out to me. In the show notes, there is the Journey Beyond Divorce email address, and I'll also share my other email address that you can reach me out for too. And so there's just several different ways, but yeah, it's ultimately just being there, creating space for people and helping them out. So as I say, don't hesitate. It's not a sign of weakness to reach out and say, "Hey, I need help." It's not a sign of weakness. It's a way for you to stay strong because if you don't reach out and you continually to go down this road of I'm going to do it myself, you're with yourself 100% of the time. So if you are in this struggle of breaking the negative thought patterns, breaking the negative stories that you may be speaking to yourself, how are you going to do it? Because if that's a habit for you, how are you going to do it? You've developed the habit. It is hard work, but it's a habit that you've developed. And so you've got to have somebody that can step in and break that negative loop for you, step in and ask you questions and have you look at things differently. But so it comes back to the fact that asking for help, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It is truly not a sign of weakness. It is a way that's going to allow you to get that help to help you stay strong, to help you progress and do what you need to. So that that's the thing. People have this idea. I don't know why, but I think it's when I look at it too. Though is a lot of times we've reached out and have asked for help, and we end up getting judged, and people don't really take the time to give you the space. You may be reaching out to people that have their issues too in that area, and so this is the thing. As a coach, coaches are not perfect. People, we as coaches don't have everything figured out. We have stuff that we're working on ourselves. And so, as coaches, you're going to come across coaches that have coaches for themselves. And so, I'm not perfect. I don't have everything figured out. I don't have all the answers. The only thing is, it's my experience and just the questions and just interacting with people and learning from those experiences with interactions with other people. But I don't have everything figured out, man. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, do not look at me as being this exceptional person. Don't put me higher than you because if that happens and you have these expectations of individuals and you have them up here and they end up faltering and failing, it's predetermined resentments because they're gonna fail, they're gonna fall, and you're gonna look and be like, man, like I thought they had everything together and they fallen and failed, and what does that mean for me? No, do not do that. Like we're all on the same playing field. We're all on the same level playing field. You'll have some people though that try to put it at that they're better than everybody else, and so that's where you got to look at it and kind of figure out and be like, what's the energy? What's the energy that I'm getting from this person? Because that's the thing too. As coaches, we've got to look and say, is this going to be a good relationship? Is this going to be a good partnership? Is it going to be a good fit for me? Because if it's not a good fit for the coach, hopefully they're not taking it on because that's not going to be good for anybody. And so it is a partnership between the coach and the clients, the individual. And so it's a give and take on both sides. And so if you're coming across a coach that maybe you express and you're like, hey, I just don't think this is a good fit. I don't think this is working out. And they push back and they're like, no, no, no. It's like, no, like you got to respect that person's opinion. And so if it's not working out for the individual, man, hopefully whoever you're talking to is not going to tell you, no, no, it's working out. No, like respect it, because if you're not feeling comfortable, it's not going to work out. And so that's something that I've talked to Jasper and through different conversations and whatnot. And we talk and we have a good relationship, but there's certain things that I may not be a good fit for with the conversation piece or whatever is coming up. And so I've told her, I was like, if you feel comfortable going and talking to somebody else, go do that. And so that's going to be the same thing that I'm talking to people. If there's a piece that you feel like there's somebody else that's better suited to talk to in that piece, man, go do that, because that's going to be your peace of mind. That's going to be you protecting your energy and making sure you're finding that alignment. You're not getting into a partnership that doesn't work out for either of you. And so that my biggest thing is I'm not holding back. I'm if you need to go talk to somebody else, go do it, because people need to feel comfortable. People need to really protect their energy and find and understand that energy and understand who they are. And so it comes back down to the pseudo self. Don't show up as your fake self. Man, don't try to fit yourself in a box that doesn't fit you. Be true to yourself. Be your true solid self and do what you need to. It's it's one of those sad things, but it goes back to that relationship with self. Are you? I'm trying to figure out. I don't know example here. But yeah, no, it's like be true to yourself. Be your true solid self, because ultimately we're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. I'm not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. I'm not gonna fit with everybody, which that's the beauty of being a human. And so I'm not gonna fit with everybody. Everybody's not gonna fit with me, which is okay. That's cool. There's plenty of people on planet Earth to go build those relationships with. Go find those relationships. Go find those individuals that really you resonate with and whatnot. So, but a couple things here. Let me pull this up. And this was coming from John Kim. So John Kim does have his own podcast out there, The Angry Therapist, and then he's got one with his partner. It's not me, it's you. And yeah, it's the perspective piece. It's really looking, and that's the thing. Maybe you're listening to an episode from somebody, and you're like, this is not for me. This does not align with me for this topic. That's cool. Skip that. Do what you need to and whatnot. So, but a couple of things on here is, and this is one of those things that it's coming to the fact of, I really look at it of you need to complete yourself. Other individuals are there to complement you, and that's my perspective. And so maybe somebody looks at it and they're like, no, that's not for me, which is okay, cool. That's your perspective. This is my perspective. And so John, and I'm part of his text group and whatnot, the more we disconnect from ourselves, the more we crave connecting with someone else. And so it's one of those things that I look at is that, are you not connecting with yourself? You're disconnecting from yourself as your true self. And so now are you going outside of yourself to find this peace? And it was another conversation piece tonight with Jasper. The fact of, you may get into a relationship and maybe you haven't done the work on yourself. Maybe you haven't done that deep dive to really find your true self, or you're looking for things outside of you to fill a hole that you're not willing to give yourself. And so a lot of times people will get into these relationships and you aren't willing to give yourself love. And so this comes back to that relationship piece with self. Do you truly love yourself? Do you love yourself for who you are? Do you love yourself for your quirkiness, for your flaws, for the jokes that you want to make, and people look at you funny and you're like, that's an awesome joke, and people are like, no, that's not an awesome joke. Dad jokes, all that fun stuff. But the relationship piece, are you looking to somebody else to give you love, but you're not even willing to give yourself love. And so a lot of times we're running into the situation where the other person that you're looking at is in the same boat where they're not willing, they're not loving themselves, but they're looking to you, to love them. And so think about that push pull dynamic. You are not loving yourself, you're not accepting yourself, you're not completing yourself, but you're looking to somebody else to do that for you. And then you have this dynamic where this person is doing the same thing. They don't love themselves, but they're looking to you to love them. So think about this dynamic. If you have the piece where they don't love themselves, but they want you to love them, but you don't love yourself, and you want them to love you. Like that dynamic is all over the place. It's crazy and whatnot. And so, man, I got very excited about this topic, this idea here and whatnot. But it's that journey piece, and there's gonna be times where maybe you dislike yourself for something, but can you get to the point where you can love yourself and that other person is there to compliment you? So maybe that day you're just not feeling yourself, and you need somebody to kind of lift you up and whatnot. So that's what they're there. They're there to compliment you and whatnot. But it kind of goes into the motivation piece. And with social media, this is great things. Social media gives you this platform where you can go post motivational quotes all day, every day, and you'll see. I've seen it before where people are like, "Man, I really needed that. Thank you for sharing that." But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, are you looking for other people to give you motivation? Are you looking for people to share this quote that's gonna be the thing that's gonna shake it up and give you this motivation? So are you out there? Are you giving yourself motivation? Are you finding ways to motivate yourself? And it goes back to the fact too that maybe that day you're having off, and so you do need that little pickup. So you need that motivational piece to kind of spark it. But are you rely on that every day to give you that driving force, or are you finding ways to give yourself that motivational piece? And so it's, oh man, it's funny because it goes back to the fact of your thoughts, your stories that you're telling yourself. And this let's see, I get so all over the place, and we're here, there, everywhere. It's all good. I love it because it's my podcast and I'll do what I want. If you don't like it, that's cool. But it's now looking at the dating piece and whatnot. So Jasper was sharing something from a post that she had seen, and somebody's like, "Why can I not find anybody real?" And somebody piped in, and they're like, "All the real people are stupid," or something of that jazz, something of that nature and whatnot. And I was like, "All the people that are real are stupid." I'm like, "Well, what is going on here? Are you in the boat where you're like, I can't find anybody?" Well, what are you speaking? What are you putting out there? I'm like, I'm baffled. I really am baffled, but what can you do? This is the lens that they have. This is how they see and view life, and this is cool. But I look at this ultimately with everything that's taking place. My experience with my journey beyond divorce, just the growth that really has taken place. But with that piece, it's opened up and it's allowed me to be surrounded by individuals that it really truly started with seeing the potential in me before I saw it in myself. Because I went through the divorce and I wrapped myself up. My whole identity was the relationship. And I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who Scott was. But also, I look at it too. I was very young when I got married. And this was some of that Jasper and I talked about tonight too. It's like you look at the stages that we go through as humans, and you're a teenager and you think you know what love is and whatnot. And then you get into your 20s and you have this like combination of maybe this is what love is, but this you still have that viewpoint of the teenager years and the Disney life and Prince Charming and Ever After. And once you find this person, everything's gonna be perfect and be great. And it's like, no, like once you find this person, it's still work. You're still working on yourself. You're still having to work on the relationship piece. And man, I don't know. It's one of those things, but I look at it now because with the divorce and where I'm at, being able to grow and truly find who I am and show up as my true self and getting rid of this damn pseudo self and whatnot, love it. And so I don't know. If you enjoy the podcast, you enjoy this live, you're like, this is crazy and whatnot, hit the share button, share it with somebody that you know that needs to hear it, or even if you don't know they need to hear it, still share it. Let's grow it and whatnot. And the podcast is on several different platforms. But also the divorce piece, man. If you're looking for a tribe, you're looking for a space that you feel comfortable and you can show up and be true to yourself. I do have the group that myself and Miriam started, and it's still out there after divorce. Grace Laughter Lessons. So it's just another another aspect and whatnot. But if you are inspired and you're like, man, I'd love to go live, but I really don't want to go in front of people, I highly suggest getting into podcasts. You have a message. Somebody else needs to hear this message. You have a message that somebody else needs to hear so they can find a way to make the change and change up and do what they need to. But I did find another. So there's two platforms. There's two platforms that I found, and maybe you are an individual that's very creative. Maybe you're a content creator or you'd like to be a content creator. And so there is one website. It's called Buy Me a Coffee. I'll put the link in the show notes so you can go click on that. But it's another medium for me that's been great because the only thing I can do on there is blog. So all I can do is type. And for individuals, and I've shared this story, I would much rather do live. Because humans, the thing with humans is we are always looking, your brain's looking for faces. And so by doing the lives, it allows people to find those faces. The writing portion, it can be a little more difficult because people can't get your emotionality out of it, and maybe they read it differently, but it's another medium to share your message and get it out to people and whatnot. So the platform is Buy Me a Coffee. I'll share it. You can go click on it. You can go check out the couple of posts that I've done. But if you are an individual that is looking to build a community, a tribe, I highly suggest get in there and sign up because I've got a couple supporters that are supporting, giving a quick one-time donation and whatnot. But when you type up a post, you have the ability that you can hit email out to my supporters, and so it's beautiful. You type it up, people can go check it out. Public can go check it out. You can also set up memberships and whatnot. But you can type it out and hit post, and then you can hit email, and it emails out to your supporters. So it's a really cool way that you never know. Maybe what you posted that one day, they didn't see it, but you can send it out through email and they get it in their email, and it could be that one thing that they needed that day that could inspire them. But it goes back to that individual that don't rely on this to be the only way to be inspired or get your motivation. Figure it out for yourself. But it's another way to impact people. And then the other thing that I've came across, I think it's the Stereo app. Let me check my messages here. I'll put this in the show notes too. But let's see here. Do apologize. I don't remember the exact. I found it last night. There we go. It's stereo.com. And so this is interesting because it's pretty much like a podcast, but you end up through the algorithm, you can get linked up with somebody else. And so you guys can have a back and forth discussion, and you can create a follow that way because it does ask for different platforms that you have and whatnot. But I was looking at it because if you're looking at a way to share your message, get on here because it's not live, it's not video, it's just audio. It's real life audio, real time audio they can listen to. But it's another way to potentially create an income stream because they do have on there with the engagement. They do find those content creators through this process that they do send out monetary rewards. I know that they have it set up based on how long it takes and whatnot, or if they have the funds. But it's just another way to be a content creator, get it out there, share it, and potentially get paid for your ideas, for your values, for what you're doing and whatnot. So you got to find it. And so this year, based on what took place in 2020, this year is just another step up to make the pivot. Pivot for what you need to. But don't be so quick to pivot all the time. Like, you've got to let it play out. And if you got to make a pivot, you make a pivot. But just don't pivot to pivot. Pivot when you need to. So just some things to think about. If you found, like I said, if you found value in this, hit the share button. If you're listening to this on the actual podcast, share the pod out to whoever. That's ultimately for podcasters how it gets shared is the word of mouth and whatnot. So I truly am grateful for everybody that gives me their support, that comes on and does the hosting and whatnot, comes on a guest host. So I truly greatly truly am honored for the support that I receive and people that back me up and just allows me to just practice and give out the information and just be myself. So, but as we always do here, let me go ahead and pull up the pod decks here, and we'll run through a couple questions with the pod decks. But if you are a content creator, there's another tool that I highly suggest looking into. It is a conversation starter right in your hand because they have the app, but they do have physical decks. So those were the ones that originally a while back ago, Miriam and I had utilized, and I still have those. But this app, man, has been huge because as a content creator, this is a way to create engagement, to create the conversation pieces that gets into things that normally aren't asked. And so it's a good thing. So let me go ahead. We had a new deck that did come out. New year, new you. So we'll go run through a couple of these. And so this is actually unique. What's the area of your life you want to focus the most on improving this year? And so when I look at that, the area that I most want to focus on improving for this year is getting more consistent with reading, carving out time and reading, because there's days that I won't read. And so that's one of the things that I want to have more consistency in and improving is taking and carving out 30 minutes a day to read. And that's kind of how I get stuck with having 6 different books at one time. Didn't find another book. It was a book that my mom had given me. It's Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. That's one of those books I highly suggest getting into, and I will go grab it because it's a great read. Just started reading it, but I'll put a link in the show notes that you can click on to go purchase the book if you'd like to. But I highly suggest getting into that book. A lot of great information. Dr. Joe Dispenza presents information that you may say this is really out there, but he's got the scientific research, he's got the scientific backing behind it, so he's got proof, and that's the thing that people are looking for. But I'll have a link in the show notes that you can click on and go purchase the book if you'd like, but it's there for you. But that's the area that I'd most like to focus on improving the next year. Are there any new hobbies you want to start in the new year? Any new hobbies? Let's see here. We got the book that's coming out. We're working on writing that. New hobbies. So it may be something that we did yesterday. Patrick and I, we live streamed. We did an unpacking of Pokemon cards. So that may be the new hobby. I think Patrick and I may be doing that once a month, unpacking and doing a giveaway. So it brings back that nostalgia piece of growing up and being a kid and getting the sports cards and opening up the packs. And it's like Christmas. You just never know what you're going to get in the packs. But it's another way that I look at it to have fun outside of business, and create another way to really support small businesses. And so, as we're unpacking, come across cards that are worth money, sell them, and then have that money come in to allow us to improve what we can do as a business as two native sons. And so, just excited for that. So I think that's the new hobby, is just uh, going and unpacking Pokemon cards, which you're like, man, that's crazy. You guys, you're 34 years old, you're talking about Pokemon cards. But for me, I think they came out when I was 12. So it was part of being a kid. So it's not anything, it's just a nostalgia piece and whatnot. But it was so funny. It was interesting just to kind of go through, and as you're going through, you're learning from other people that are tuning in, giving their input, their advice, and whatnot. So just another way to grow and learn. But also, my youngest daughter is real big into that too, and so it's just another way to connect. It's another way to build a relationship with my youngest daughter. My oldest isn't really big into them, but just another connection piece. And so, hey, it's a new hobby, but it's a new way to connect. So I love it. Last one for this one. What are your top three goals for the new year? So, top three goals for me. One is I would like to lose 24 pounds for the year. And so that is very doable for the new year to lose that. And so that is one of my goals. Another one that really kind of just came up was with YouTube, building YouTube. They do give out recognition for milestones. And so getting to the point where it's 100,000 subscribers for the YouTube channel, that would be huge, because that's 100,000 people that are watching and following, and we're able to provide value and input. And so that's, man, excited for that. And so this live stream right now is actually being recorded onto the Two Native Sons Facebook page, or not Facebook page. That we do have that, but the YouTube channel. And in the show notes, I'll put that in the links of resources that you can go click on, subscribe, like, follow, and it would just be another thing that would be awesome. But yeah, another goal is to hit 100,000 subscribers on that channel. So it's just part of that, and growing that. And then another aspect with three goals is to read 72 books this year. Well, yeah, 72 books this year. So that's the goal there. But also another goal, even though it was top three goals, but another goal in there is to help 10 people start their own podcast, to help them go out there and create something that allows them to impact other people and have them, maybe it's a hobby for them. And so being able to walk with them and help them out through that journey, because for me, podcasting has been huge. It's been a creative outlet, and it gives me another platform that a lot of people aren't tapping into. The statistics with podcasting in October of last year, I believe it was 1.2 million podcasts. But when you look at YouTube, YouTube is between 40 and 60 million active YouTube channels. So why not get into a area that is less condensed and allows it to open up, because it's still very young, and to be able to create that change and help people out and utilize another platform to give out value and information and just impact the lives of others. And so those are my four goals that I have. So losing 24 pounds this year, which when you look at it, it's not that much, it's not difficult, but that's my goal. Having 100,000 subscribers for the Two Native Sons YouTube channel, which, like I said, I'll put that in the show notes. This is being live streamed to the YouTube channel. Reading 72 books, and then helping 10 people start their own podcast. So those are the goals for this year. Let's see here. WTF. Let's see what we got coming up here. Do you have a birthmark? If so, where? And so I don't have no funky birthmark, but I've got one on the back of my neck here. And the funny thing is, when I was growing up, I think I was like 12, and I was getting a haircut, and the individual, and I think it was a lady, I think, but the individual that was cutting my hair looked, and she's like, "Is that gum stuck to your neck?" I was like, What? No, I take showers daily. But no, I was like, no, it's a birthmark. But that sometimes, man, when people look at things, you get some crazy responses, some crazy questions and whatnot. But that was in regards to this birthmark. It was that was. I was like gum stuck on my neck, really? But yeah, it was funny and whatnot. Well, let's see here. What is the last thing you took a picture of? The last thing I took a picture of was actually I took a screenshot of that text that John had sent out that I talked about earlier. But man, last picture I took. That I think the last picture I took. This was actually hanging out with Jasper on this past weekend. Um, No, it was Friday when we were hanging up, I think. But ended up taking a picture with her beagle, and so that was the last picture I took. She was doing some different things in regards with helping me out with some other stuff. So shout out to Jasper. Let's see here. Do you have a favorite T-shirt? If so, what's on it, or what does it say? So the T-shirt that I have, that's my favorite. It goes in regards to Two Native Sons. It's one thing that we've talked about is being unscripted, and so it says scripted, and it's being torn in half, and then in between the torn pieces of scripted is creating as the Fuji lifestyle. And so that's actually my favorite shirt because first it's for the business, but it also was an idea that Patrick and I had created, came up with, and just to see that come to life, man, that's huge. So that's my favorite T-shirt. And let's see here, we'll do two more. How dare you? Do you brush your teeth every day? Yes, I brush my teeth every day, and I'm like, Travis Brown that created Poddex. This I don't know why would we even have this question, but you know what? I guess there are people out there that don't brush every day. I'm not for sure. I know for myself I do, because it's important. It's vital to your health. Let's see here. What was one of the best moments of your life? One of the best moments in my life. I've got a couple. So first one, of course, is my kids being born. So that tops that there. And then the other best moment in my life is starting Two Native Sons. Well, actually, no, three. There's three. So the birth of my kids, starting Two Native Sons, and then the doing podcasting, and doing the live streams every day as often as I possibly can. But yeah, best moments of my life, those three. So my kids being born, the birth of Two Native Sons, and then creating the podcast, and actually has led to creating multiple podcasts. So there are, I think I've got four podcasts. Yeah, so it's just best moments right there. So, man, yep, no, this great. I truly believe it. Every episode I do is great. I'll give myself a pat on the back. But yeah, ultimately, just truly enjoy it because this is another avenue just to share information, share tools, strategies that I've utilized, strategies that I've been able to overcome. Talk about different perspectives that can have people think differently and whatnot. And so, yeah, if you finding information here, I just ask that you share the podcast, share the live stream, share the podcast, because that's the only way this is going to grow. And so I know I bring a lot of value and information that can benefit other people. So all I ask is to share the podcast. Also, like I talked at the beginning with our sponsor, Jasper and Tabala's Food for Thought, you have the creative collaboration that I will have those links to the different pages in the resources located in the show notes. So go check those out. If you know anybody that they have a story that others need to hear in the business world, reach out, send me a message on the Facebook page for creative collaboration. Send us a message there. But yeah, if you know anybody that could benefit with sharing their message and getting it out there, sharing their stories, let people know. Let people know this is a resource that's out there that we are putting together, and it's just a way for those stories to get shared and whatnot. And then there are a couple different ways, like I said, in regards with supporting the podcast, supporting and allow me to be able to continue to create content, upgrade the equipment, because right now with what I'm doing with the live stream and recording this, it's off my phone, which is okay. Imperfect action, as I always talk about. But within the show notes, there's a link that through Anchor that you can provide monthly contributions, monthly support. And then, of course, I've got the Buy Me a Coffee. That's another avenue that allows you to provide support. In there, you can go in there and just provide a one-time donation. And it's greatly appreciated because ultimately it allows me to continue to be able to produce content, produce and utilize newer equipment to upgrade and be able to continue to provide content and value and just do what I need to. So, other than that, I appreciate you guys' time. I know you enjoyed the episode. I know there's probably some moments in there that you're laughing and you're like, Scott's just crazy, which is okay. But I know there's things out there that ends up clicking and you're thinking of things differently, looking at things differently. But greatly support, greatly enjoy your support, greatly am humbled by the individuals that allow me to know that it's making an impact and it's doing big things. Other than that, I'll catch you guys next week. You guys have a great week. Enjoy your night. Love you guys. Peace out. Have a great night.